I wanted to share with you guys a breakdown of this technique I put up the other day. It's not necessarily something that I would encourage you to do if you're not really comfortable with chasing the back, because you can very easily end up on the bottom and getting squashed. So the movement went like this. Switch to the other side for me, please. I was on this side over here. I cross-stepped, set up this twister hook position, dive, rolled through, and then caught the hip here. From there, I tried to go to the back, ended up switching these grips, adjusting my hip out to the side, and then coming up into this position, okay?
I did it just for you.
So the problem with this technique is that I'm going from the top to the bottom potentially. And if my partner's good, they can end up on top of me. So in terms of like classical jiu-jitsu hierarchy, it's not necessarily the best thing to do. Having said that, if you're very comfortable playing the kind of Berimbolo inversion style, it can add a different dimension to your game, because you're now not only kind of like passing, progressing forwards, you can go back around the hips and do those kind of things. So let's look at it a little bit further. First thing, Chelsea, lay down for me, please. First things first, spin 180 degrees. When I'm in this position here, this kind of reverse position, I use this quite frequently. It keeps me away from the legs, allows me to transition towards north-south. I can step over, do all kinds of things. The first thing I'm going to do is create a little bit of space with her legs. So I use this foot to drag, and then I hook this other leg up over the top. If you've got super dexterous legs, then you can do that without messing around. I don't have super dexterous legs, okay? So I have to kind of like, yeah, I have to manipulate this, like doing various things to get to the position, but it all works okay. The next thing I want to do, and this is where people go really wrong with this technique, is I need to roll the other side of her hips. I often see people do this thing where they go here, and now just move this leg straight for me, please. Like if I roll here, I'm going to be on top of this arm, and there's no way. She's just going to adjust and go towards my back. I need to make sure that I'm not rolling over my own arm. So what I did in the technique is I grabbed this foot and pulled it up, because it makes it harder, it keeps her hips turned, and then I dived this direction towards her hips. Okay, so you can see I'm rolling over my shoulder. There's nothing stopping her hips from traveling right now. Okay, and then when I got here, I opened out and I caught the hip in this position. And now this is really important because, you know, this position that Chelsea and I are in, if I drop my leg, it's 50-50 right now. Okay, Chelsea can easily turn it towards like taking my back, and I can do the same. If I have this twister hook position like so, it becomes a lot more advantageous for me. But I also need to keep her hips off the ground, because if I don't, if Chelsea's hips drop to the ground, I'm not going to be able to take the back. I'm not going to be able to do any of those things. So I'm here. Okay, I use my forearms as like a prop. So if Chelsea tries to put her hip down now, like she's just going to run through this arm. My first initial attack from this position is I started to reach, my initial attack was I would try to reach across and grab this far lapel to take the back. The problem was I couldn't get to it. It was too far, like Steve was blocking it too much. So what I then did is I switched to this grip on the hip here. So I was locking by the side of the hip, and then I went to the collar. At this point, knowing Chelsea and knowing what she's like, I know that there's a real risk that she's going to try and sit up and knee bar me, right? That's going to be one of the things that happens. Like, even if it's not Chelsea, if someone wants to like just defend this position, she can sit up over the top of me, yeah, and basically put her in the position I was just in. I definitely don't want that to happen. So when I'm here, I know that at this point, what my next goal has to be is to hide this leg. Okay, so now if Chelsea tries to sit up, she's never going to like beat this position. If it's here, yep, her hip can come through. Okay, if it's back against my own grip, it's never going to happen now. And what I can do is use my grips to bring her weight up on top of me, adjust, and start sitting down. Now at this point, again, I'm going to let go of this grip on her hips first, reach through to the collar, reach around the neck, and then I can bring my other hook in. Okay, so that's the sequence that I'm thinking about. It's all about like progressively climbing the ladder. You'll notice that regardless of which hand I had on the hip, the next one was like, once I made the exchange, was kind of come up the next part of the body, and then bring my knees up high. Okay, so one more time. We're here. I'm in this reverse side control position, making sure that I'm up. I can stretch, lock, get to here. I reach the foot, I dive roll through. If you can grab this hip as you're going over, that's even better. But with Chelsea, she's too flexible and I won't be able to. I prop and support here. I can try and reach across the collar for the first one. She's too flexible. I go by the hip and control, elbow in. Now I can use this to control her neck. Okay, now at this point, I'm aware of that danger. So I'm in this situation, I can start propping her, adjusting out to here. Okay, then I need to connect myself. Depending on where I can either go cross collar or I can go shoulder, bring it up off the ground, lock it in, and then be up in this situation. And from there, I can set my second hook, okay? That is the basic sequence I used, okay? It's a really nice continual attack that works, but the important thing is not the roll off the top, it's the progressive way of climbing up the back that is really, really important, and being aware of what my partner can do to defend me. So I can't let her drop the hips to the ground. I have to be aware that she can try and step around that leg, and countering those things as we go.
Action.